right, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between, welcome once again to the SYN Shop podcast. I am, of course, the Mighty Pong.
And I'm Crux.
There he is. And on tonight's show, we are going to be bringing you MElemental. And he is going to be going through and telling us all the things that music class didn't teach you. And it's going to be awesome. He's going to take us on a trip through musical theory lane, and hopefully we will not lose our car keys. But before we go there, I just wanted to make a quick announcement on the shop. Now, this show that you're watching right now is being presented on behalf of the SYN Shop. Now, what is the SYN Shop, you might say? And I would say to you, well, the SYN Shop is a maker hackerspace located in Las Vegas, Nevada. And what we do is we offer tools and equipment that you can use to make pretty much whatever you can think of. Now, right now, we're currently closed for renovation, so you're going to have to wait a little bit to come check out the shop. But our members are working right now as hard as they can to get the shop back in action just as soon as possible. So if you're in the Las Vegas and you'd like to help, join our Discord and check out the shop build-out channel to see what you can do to help get the shop back in action. To join that Discord, go to synshop.org/Discord to find the latest information on the shop. And to make sure you're notified of future events, including virtual ones just like this one, you can join us at meetup.com/Synshop. And with that, let me bring you back in MElemental. Hello, sir.
Hello. Hello, hello.
I really got to put in a space for me to breathe into that into that read. I really...
I mean, how important is breathing anyway?
One of these days, I'm going to pass out in the middle of that thing. I don't know. So, all right. So I wanted to have you on because it's funny. You've been on the project stream now for the past, what, month, 2 months, something like that?
Yeah, 3 weeks to a month, I think.
Is that right?
Like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but what's interesting is that you came in right as we were in the middle of moving, right? You were at the old shop. You helped us move from there, right?
Yeah, I was there. I came in basically, like, I think first time I found the place was in October.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So pretty much right as we were getting ready to move.
Right when we're moving. So
yeah.
Because the lease was up end of October.
So what made you decide to stick around? Like you come in and we're in the middle of tearing everything apart. So what made you say, like, yeah, I'm gonna stick around?
Well, so what was it? I guess I saw hackerspace and I was like, this kind of sounds like the way that Richard Stallman and the free software movement uses hacker.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I asked about that, and then yeah, and then I got a confirmation from Akin that's kind of how that is how it's being used. And then yeah, it was just very interesting that all this DIY there's all this expensive equipment that you can use.
Absolutely.
If you pay for a membership. It's like, yeah, very excited to not pay $300 for an oscilloscope or whatever. I mean, I already did that, but
but still,
but for other equipment that I don't have to do that.
Or several $30,000 for a shop bot.
Yeah,
shop bot, laser cutters, mill, lathe, all that stuff. So
I have to admit, I miss the shop bot the most because I really want a different desk over here for all the stuff that you'll see on the Monday night shows, for all the Eurorack gear that's right over there. But I really want a different desk for that, but I want to make it myself. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. You have to wait a little bit yet, but hopefully, soon.
Yeah, I mean, and like, what was it? Maybe like 3 months before, I was like, oh, I want to make synthesizers. And then I was like, oh, maybe it's expensive to just get this equipment. Yeah, so yeah.
Well,
yeah,
see,
and then
that's what's really cool about having you on the project show, man, because it's like, you wanted, it's so funny. Like back in October, you're like, I want to build a synthesizer, but I don't know, it's probably too expensive. And then next thing you know, you're on a show like 4 weeks in a row where you're just building synthesizer parts. Like, how cool is that?
I know, it's great.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I noticed that, and one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on is we have several different channels on our Discord. Again, you can go to synshop.org/Discord to join that. And on one of them, we were talking a lot about music theory, and you and actually Titans, who's another member of ours who comes in on Monday nights, were in this long, really interesting conversation about like music history and music theory and all that stuff. And I'm reading this and I'm like, he knows a lot of stuff. so I was like, okay, well, we got to have him on, because you definitely know more than I do. So, I mean, that's exactly what I look for in a guest. Like I look for people that know more than I do. So
yeah, I wish I knew even more than, not necessarily even more than you do, but even more than I do. But,
absolutely. Yeah, no.
That's a conversation. But
that's one of my life pro tips is, if you're the smartest guy in the room, change rooms.
I like that.
What if you're alone?
That's a good point. Well, actually, no, that point holds up. Change rooms. Yeah. If you're by yourself, you're not going to really, I mean, you're not going to do too many favors for yourself. That's a whole another story. Anyway, so music theory. So since you are a knower of things on music theory, like I've been involved in especially electronic music since 91. but I know what sounds good, right? But I don't know why. So like, and one thing that keeps popping up as I like continuously like try to learn about music theory is the circle of fifths, and I've never gotten it. So I was wondering, I guess, well, we can get to that here in just a little bit. I'll ask you about that in just a little bit, but I definitely want to ask up front, because this kind of ties into what you were talking about on the forums. The circle of fifths is probably not a universal thing, is it?
Well, it's a bit yes and no there.
Okay.
So, like, the thing with the circle of fifths is that there are some like math principles about like the circle of fifths, like why we use fifths specifically, and the reason has to do with like when you hear sounds, that's actually a fifth is the interval that you would hear this thing called the harmonic series. And this thing called the harmonic series is just like, I mean, I can do like, if you hear that pearly noise, that's the harmonic series. And all that is just like, you have a fundamental frequency, and then that's being multiplied by a bunch of different, by a certain number. And the first thing you'll hear is the fifth, which, the terminology is kind of confusing, because fifth isn't in reference to the number. Fifth's reference to how we notate it. But anyway, the circle of fifths is developed from the harmonic series. But like, the thing is, what you need to know is that our culture really Western music theory really emphasizes harmony as an element of music, and that not necessarily every culture emphasizes harmony as an element of music. So for example, like African music emphasizes music and rhythm in relation to dance.
Okay.
And so their music is more about how you're able to dance to it. And that's not as relevant. And here in the West, that's not as relevant.
I wonder if it's not recognized, but it is still relevant. Like I used to know, like, people that played bass in a band, right? And a lot of times they would feel as though I know how to instantly, here's a pro tip for anybody watching. if you ever want to cheer up a guy who's a bass player in a band, here's what you tell them, right? Yeah, they think they're rocking out to the guy on lead guitar, but if you watch them, their ass is shaking to you. That's how you cheer up any bass guitarist, because it's true. You know, at the end of the day, if you're dancing to a song, you're listening to the bass line. You're not focused on the lead singer. You think you are. You might that's what your brain is doing. But as far as what your feet are doing, that's going to be a situation where you're listening to the bass. That's been my experience, at least. Maybe that's just how I do. I don't know. Is that similar to what you found?
I mean, like, let's see. The bass player. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about what. Like, yeah, people dance to the bass line. The bass line's actually setting up like a rhythm in music.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like again, like but then like some cultures don't even like have like this idea of a bass line and a melody line. Like everything's like doing the same thing, or it's everyone's singing like the same part in some cultures.
So what's an example of that? Like, how does that like I'm trying to figure out how, like, the best way to equate that. Like, if the bass line isn't the focus of it, and the focus isn't to dance, in some cultures, music style, if that's not the focus, then what's an example of that? Like a call to prayer sort of thing, or
well, okay. I think so. So what's the focus on? Well, so like I'm saying, different cultures have different focuses on different elements of music. So our culture is very focused on how notes sound together and singing different parts and different counterpoints.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So other cultures might emphasize like the rhythm of the music. Other cultures might emphasize like the melodic line of a music, or like singing one melodic line as opposed to singing a bunch of melodic lines that sound good together.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And like and what's interesting is like video synthesizers. I could imagine a culture where a hypothetical culture where video synthesis is a important part of the music you create. I mean, that's not a culture that exists as far as I'm aware of.
In the late 90s, that started to become a thing. I don't know why, but the VJ was a thing. I just realized what that. No, but like a video jockey was a thing for a while. Like especially in Chicago, there was the emergency broadcast system, if I remember right. And they were awesome. Like that was the first time I ever saw live video mixing, and it was just dope. Like they were so good. But then like no one else did it, and I think it's probably because the equipment, especially at the time, was really expensive. But
yeah,
yeah, to get a video mixer in like the late 90s, that was pricey. Yeah. But so that has happened, and I'm sure that's still around, but it's just a lot fewer and farther between in my experience. Now I'm sure like there's probably like, the guys that do EDC or something like that. I'm sure that there's video mixers, involved with that. I doubt it's just
definitely have that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, so when we're talking about the circle of fifths, like, we're talking about one music theory that's pretty prominent in the West, but it's not the only music theory. So like how every culture has their own music, every culture has their own music theory also. And then like, it's just, we happen to have emphasized one specific kind in the West for now, but yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because one thing that I noticed with a lot of dance music was about establishing a groove, right? Kind of like what you were saying as far as I'm pretty sure you said that it was like African cultures that were focused primarily on the rhythm and how it makes you dance and all that stuff. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of like what like house kind of, but especially like trance and techno at the time. I don't know what it's called now. I'm old, but but those
There's multiple genres now of it.
there's oh god, yes. There's way too many genres.
It is fragmented quite a bit.
Oh, it was when I got out of it. So yeah, but anyway,
And that's another. Oh, go ahead.
oh no. Well, I guess where I was going with that is like there. It seems like those little pockets of things that do not rest heavily on the work of German people who died in the 1800s. It does seem like there are pockets of that. Like even in Western culture, where we've kind of taken in a lot of rhythmic things, and we've taken in a lot of more melodic things, and we're not just focused on. It sounded like what you were saying before was harmony was key, right? In Western culture.
Well, I mean, like if you're asking me about the circle of fifths, then what you're talking about is the music theory of the specific kind of music theory that's very focused on harmony.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's where you're going with it. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So like that, and that's the thing that's kind of been hyper elevated and also been called into question actually within the last year. Longer than the last year, but it's been a bigger issue, or it's been made more mainstream over the last year about whether this specific harmony-based music theory is really something like needs to be central focus or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not that those other influences don't enter in to Western music. It's that Western music primarily leans, well, specifically by way of the circle of fifths, that leans especially hard on harmony.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right. But, and that was one of the things I definitely wanted to make sure that we got to, even before we even get into the circle of fifths, is one of the things that you were talking about the other day was how we as Americans, I guess, are kind of hardwired into, no, there's got to be harmony. We have to have harmony or it's not a song or something like that. You know what I mean? Is that kind of along the lines of what you were saying?
Yeah, that's kind of along the lines as to what was being said was like Western audience have been, I don't know if I want to say hardwired, but like maybe, I mean, if the word indoctrinated is a okay of a word. Yeah, it's just like in an academic level, like in the institutions, they've emphasized like this certain Western harmony that was like emphasized by basically Germans trying to like state their like why their music is the apex of music and why we should listen to music through their lens. That's like what a lot of music theory that we study in the West is doing. And then so like you get this like kind of class thing where like classical music is high and mighty and snooty, and then like all other kinds of music that don't come from the classical music tradition is not high or is not high and classy and that kind of deal.
So I don't know if this is going to be within your wheelhouse here or not, but if we were to step into a time machine, right, and we go back in time to Germany. Right. And when was like Bach in that was in like 1800s or 1700s or am I?
Yeah, so like 1700s to 1800s.
Okay.
That's what they call the common practice period.
It's the common practice. Okay. So
I
if
mean,
we
yeah.
if
Go
we were
ahead.
to get into my time machine and we head back to the common practice period, oh please, and we go to the cool side of town, right? What music would we hear there? Like, let's get away from the harpsichords and the Sebastian Bachs and all that. If we go to where the real good stuff is, what kind of music would we be hearing there?
Well, so Bach was the house and the party of those times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like I mean, like what you have to understand was that Bach wasn't like the idea that Bach was going to be this very like narrowly studied, like hyper emphasized guy, and like his music was going to be preserved for that long. That really wasn't the situation. Like Bach was known for being an improviser.
Hmm.
Yeah, and not for being a musical genius. The musical genius part was added by Germans in the 1930s,
So,
which,
so what it sounds like is what you're saying is from Bach's perspective, he was just screwing around.
yeah.
Oh my God. So wait, why was it him that was so special? Like, why is he the one that was recognized rather than Alfred von Wolfenschaffer, or who was probably playing just as well at the same time?
I mean, I think Bach was prolific. I think, but yeah, I mean, I don't know why Bach specifically was like elevated. But like how you have to understand music theory is music theory wasn't. It's not like composers did stuff based on music theory. It's that people looked at composers in the past and then made a theory around what they did.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's kind of where like you have yeah. So like what people did were they were basically finding patterns in a bunch of musicians that they liked. And then like, saying, oh, if you do this stuff, you can kind of emulate that. Yeah.
Just to catch up with chat real quick here, Titan said earlier when we were talking about rhythmic songs, he said, I can see that a song that has all drums, for example, wouldn't necessarily have a bass line per se. I do disagree with that, but we can come back to that. But Vic Botnick says a lot of these artists die poor and unrecognized. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if it was just that Bach had a better PR team or like knew how to shake
Bach,
the right hands.
I mean, well, so like so one of the reasons Bach was preserved was also because he had a bunch of children that loved daddy and that kind of thing. So
Life on the road. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
18th century, they haven't invented things to stop that from happening. So, groupies, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? Like some guy finishing up with a harpsichord and then having to I'm going back to the VIP room, and then there's a line of girls following him or whatever. Like,
I mean, that's kind of how it was with Mozart and Bach and Beethoven. Well, kind of. Like, I mean, part of it was they worked for like kind of how they made their dime was they played for a patron, and then the patron paid them.
mm-hmm.
And then so that's how it happened for a while until like something about the French Revolution. I mean, I'm not too solid on like these little details about how culture was occurring in those days, but like what I know is that for a while they were playing for patrons, and then eventually, like probably around Mozart and Beethoven's time, it switched from being patronized or from patronizing to like what is it to this kind of like around the French Revolution, this kind of highbrow, lowbrow, like false class division of what's good music and what's good music and what's not good music, or what. So I guess what I'm getting into is that basically the classical composers were out of a job. They were out of a job at some point, so they had to. So there's another musical tradition like folk music that's going on, right? And so you have folk music that's competing with classical music, and so you gotta kind of like make classical music look better, so that you're kind of like putting down folk music and then elevating like these classical and elevating this classical kind of music. So that happened around the French Revolution.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry,
the guillotine, I'm sure, changed a lot of perceptions on a lot of things. So, I mean, landlords especially, they were like, oh, okay, I do declare.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that was like the start of like this classist division between the folk music and this kind of German cultural music.
Interesting. So what you're saying then is before that period of time, right? Before the 1800s, there wasn't a class divide when it came to music. Is that correct? That doesn't seem.
No, all right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really great at this.
Okay. Yeah. We are going way into like the historical side of things. Sorry about that. Yeah, because I would imagine, in my head canon, I don't know if it's true or not, but while he's, while Bach's over here with the I do declare people, that somewhere there's a fiddle and a hurdy-gurdy, just dancing up a storm somewhere else. So
yeah, there's that going on too.
So with it being
the music of my people.
I mean, yeah. Same here. Well, no, actually, I think my people would have been the I do declare, mostly.
Yeah.
German and French for me. So it is what it is. Freaking French. What are you gonna do? I surrender. But oh shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say. Doggone it. So you had so there was still class involved in that at that time, I'm sure. And so then French Revolution comes. And, that's what I was going to ask you. So how is it then, getting back to a little bit closer to music theory, right? How is it that even back then, you've got Bach, I do declare, and then you've got the guy with the fiddle and the hurdy-gurdy and all that. How did it come to pass that those two use a formula that is the same? Is that just how we hear tones, or what is that? Because at the end of the day, the chord progressions that the guy with the fiddle was doing were probably not that far off from Bach, or am I wrong on that?
I mean, well, because like the guy with the fiddle is still in the same cultural context as Bach. Again, I mean, this is a lot of my depth with with like these little nuances about how folk music and this like high class music was going on back in the day. Well,
so I guess what I should do then in that case, since I'm taking you out of your depth, I should also take us both out of the first half hour of the show. And that is the part where I remind everybody at home that you are, of course, watching the SYN Shop podcast. And this is all being presented on behalf of the SYN Shop, which is a maker hackerspace that's located out in Las Vegas, Nevada. We offer tools and equipment that you can use to make just about anything that you like. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the shop, we would absolutely love to show you that. You can join our Discord. That's at synshop.org/Discord, or you can just go to synshop.org and find out more about the shop. And also on Monday's show, I think you're probably going to be joining us on Monday's show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We're going to be building some more stuff on the Monday show. So stop by. All three of us. Crux, you're going to be there as well, right?
Yeah, I should be there.
Sweet. Okay, so yeah, all three of us at least will be there. Probably Titans as well. And just stop in, and we're going to be just kind of chill out. And we're just going to chill out and build some stuff. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. I think I'm waiting for parts. But if I get those parts, I will build some stuff.
I still haven't ordered parts.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to check out the Osh Park bend stuff. Like there's a thing from Osh Park now where they will bend your metal.
Oh, you mean flexible PCBs or?
No, I mean metal, like sheet metal. They will.
Oh, that's not Osh Park. That's a different company.
It's Osh
they just happen to use Osh.
Oh,
yeah. There are several companies that use the OSH prefix.
That's weird. I don't understand that, but okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing that on Monday. Coming up next month, we got a special guest for you guys. It's going to be the guy's name is Law, and he does a whole he is a busy dude. Like we have to like talk to him next month because he's just so dang busy. But he's got like several different YouTube shows, several different podcasts that he's got. I'll have more information about him as we go forward throughout the next month. But look forward to that. That's going to be on the 16th of April. Yeah, of April. So we got that coming up. There was something else I was going to tell you, and I don't remember what it is. Let's get back to it. So,
I mean, you could mention the new channel points thing.
Channel points thing. Yes, thank you. Okay, so on the Monday night show, thank you, Crux. On the Monday night show, we've got this cool thing. So like there's 4 different people working on projects, right? Well, we can't have 4 different cameras all big on the screen at once. That you can't do that. And I'm lazy. I'm not going to switch everything around. So you can use the channel points that you're earning right now while you're watching the show. You can use those channel points to change our camera on the Monday show. So it's pretty cool. Like you can automatically just go into the chat and you're like, I want to watch Pong. I want to watch MElemental. I want to watch Crux. You can go there and you can just switch the camera yourself, and it's awesome and it works. So yeah, all right, back to it. So circle of fifths. We'll leave the hurdy-gurdy. We're gonna leave the Bach. We're gonna leave the I do declares. We're gonna leave the guillotines and the landlords, and we're gonna come on to the present day and talk about this thing. Circle of fifths. Thing.
Okay. So,
like I said in the preamble, I have been making music for a long time, and every time I try to understand this thing, I fall flat on my butt. What in the world is going on here?
Okay. Well, so what you have there is so in Western music we have 12 tones, right? So the question is, how do you organize these 12 tones? Because, I don't know if you've tried to play all 12 notes at the same time on the piano, but that doesn't sound pretty.
No. It's also kind of weird.
I don't have that many fingers.
Right, exactly. It's kind of weird getting your toes up onto the keyboard, like if someone walks in, it gets a little awkward. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, there's the arm.
Well, my synthesizer only has 6 voices anyway, so I can only give you 6. Sorry.
Yeah. If you put some arm into it, you can get
arm.
12 notes.
I wouldn't have had to wipe my keyboard. Okay, yeah. Oh well.
Anyway, so what's going on there is, it's an interesting history, mathematical exercise, whatever you want to call it, as to how we got it to these 12 notes. Essentially, it's called the circle of fifths because these notes are a fifth away. So if we go, so you have C to G, right?
Mm-hmm.
C, A, B, D, C, D, E, F, G.
Right.
Okay, so that's a fifth. That's what we call it in Western music. There's different ways to think about it, but anyway. So, and then if we go to G, so we set. In Western music, we reset on A.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, we go from A to G, and then we go back to A. So if we go G, so G, A, B, C, D. That's another fifth.
Okay.
Okay.
I can't use my pointer, unfortunately, but that's, you can see at the top we're starting with C, and then, you know, like on the hours of a clock we go to G and then D. So those are your fifths. Okay.
Yeah, so we keep on doing that. We just keep on doing that until we get until we get around all 12 notes on the scale. So I say fifths, but it's actually 7 notes on the keyboard, like 7 sequential notes on the keyboard, right? But it's 5 white notes, quote unquote, if you were to stay in the same key.
Okay, let's see. So what you're saying then, this might help. I don't know if it will or not.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, you have the reverse. Okay, so.
Oh yeah, this is going to make it complicated, isn't it? I didn't think about that. So here's your C, right? So what you're saying is we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C, D, E, F, G, right? So that's a fifth.
Yeah. So, and if you notice, there's black notes in between that. So that's yeah.
In my case, white notes, but still.
Yeah. So so between that C and that higher D, there's actually 7 of those keys that you would press. And then if you did that same process for everything, you'd go through all of those notes in the circle of fifths.
Okay.
Okay. And so that's one thing. So how this thing works is you can also go downwards. So instead of going C, D, E, F, G, you can go C, go down, B, A, G, F. So that would be a fifth down.
G, F. I'm not on camera. There we go.
Okay.
So C, B, A, G, F.
Yeah, so that's a fifth down.
Okay.
Anyway, so each of these notes have each of these notes have scales associated with them, and they have chords associated with them. And basically what you're getting is that if you play notes and chords that are close to each other on the circle fifth, they'll sound good when you play them consecutively. So like if you go from a C to a G, or if you go from a C chord to a G chord, then that'll sound nice. And if you go from a G down to a C chord, that'll sound nice.
Okay. So if I'm on, let's say, an A flat, right, which is at I guess 8 o'clock, if you're looking at this like the face of a clock. If I'm at A flat, I could go to E flat or D flat.
Yes, that would be accurate. Yeah. So anyway, and so those three, you could just take any of those 3 chords, like any consecutive set of those 3 chords, and make a song out of them. You can like ignore the rest of the circle for the most part. So you have like a C. So there's this. So then that's when you get into a functional harmony. So let's just look at F and G on the top, right?
So look at what in G? F and G?
F, C, and G. Is there a way you can like zoom that in or something?
Maybe.
Nice.
Yeah. Actually, I think so. Yeah. Let me try that. I can do. Is this a good idea? Yeah. That'll work. Sure. Yeah, we'll do that. Something like this.
Yeah. Pull it. Send the F, C, and G. So
just nothing but F, C, and G. You want
E. Yeah, that'd be good.
Big F, C, and G energy right there. Okay.
Yep. So so you have C and G. So kind of, so how this works is like, C, if you from, so like you kind of use really nice in Western music, go to the left. I could not hear anyone.
I'm not talking.
It's just noise. Okay. So, yep. So so the thing with this, it's kind of not go counterclockwise on the circle. So going from G to C to your notes. So then like F go. And so another thing is you can go up a step. Anyway, so if you go from G to C to F, that's typically what we hear as a progression, is going from so say we're in the key of C, we would go to F, and then we would actually do a step up to G, because that's in one way you can think about it as going around the circle. In another way you can think about it as going up by a step. So from F to G. So like as letters, F to G, those that's the progression. So C to F to G, back to C. So you have this like cycle going on. And that's kind of how Western music works for the most part.
Okay. So now, are those the only two that I can go to, or can't I? Is there?
Yeah, there's more.
Oh, go ahead.
So there's more notes. So like, and you can essentially, what you can do now, you can zoom out of the out of the circle right now. So you can actually, so there's a lot of fun things you can do with this circle. So so if you were to so if you look at all the notes that don't have if you were to look at all the notes that don't have a chord in them, or sorry, don't have an accidental, so no sharp or flat, it takes up like half. It's like all half on the same side of the circle.
Yeah.
So you can actually draw a line right there.
Yeah.
So there's a few features about this that's interesting, which is so if you were in the key of C and you build your if you were to be in the key of C and you build up a scale and you build up the chords for that scale, right? Then you could actually cycle from from B to E to A to D to G to C to F, and then back to the B chord if you wanted to. Basically, what you could do is you can move through this. You can move in that counterclockwise motion with the set of chords you have in a scale, in a key that you have. If you've built your chords off of the scale. Yeah, so like in Western music, this is a nice kind of motion. Just moving counterclockwise gets you all this nice chord progression movement.
So like in the end, is this just basically a shortcut to playing Pachelbel's canon in D minor, or like, because it's all Pachelbel at the end of the day.
Yeah, so I mean that's one way of thinking about it, is that Pachelbel's canons for the most part is motion in fifths. I forgot what the specific notes are. I think it's yeah, a lot of Pachelbel's canon is this, like it jumps around, but you're generally getting this counterclockwise motion on the circle of fifths to get the progression.
Now, since you can go from you were saying you could start at B and go E, A, coming up from like the, I guess what would that be, 5 o'clock on the clock dial here. If you went B, E, A, D, G, C, F, you can jump then all the way back to B. So does that mean that you can always jump across? Like, in other words, is it possible for me to start on A at 3 o'clock and go A, D, G, C, F, B flat, E flat, and then jump back to A? And that's, but it's like some interesting motion. So if you actually look, so what said E flat to A, that's actually like a tritone apart. Okay.
That's kind of, so if you look, there's F and B, those are also tritones apart. C and F sharp. Anyway, so that's kind of the line that you're cutting the circle in half to get your keys. So if you cut, so if you drew a line from F to B, that's finding your key of C there, and then of C major specifically. So you have, So like if you cut this in half anywhere, you'll get all the notes for the key that you want. And like the fact that there's two opposing notes. So the thing about the tritone, it's the most dissonant interval in Western music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean some treatises call it like Diabla and Musica.
Yeah. It was actually a forbidden to play it at one point in history. It was the devil's tritone. Diablo something. What'd you say?
Diablo and Musica or something.
The devil and the music.
Yeah, and I mean, so that's actually a little dubious, but
oh, is it? Oh,
it's what so that like that tritone devil attribution is another one of those like it was added after the fact because like people didn't really people when like the church never actually banned tritone. That's just like a spicy thing that that people like to say.
Okay. All right. Okay. So basically
anyway,
the guy that made this, the composer that made the Simpsons theme song was just like, no. It was illegal. Look at me. Because that is a tritone. If you think about the Simpsons theme song, do, 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 you know, that is a tritone there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I know a little.
Yeah. The devil's music. Yeah.
There it is.
But you know, it's a nice story, and it keeps people. It makes people remember an important interval because the tritone is an important interval. You can actually do a lot of useful things, more like advanced things with the tritone. Like if you have knowledge of what the tritone does, like in jazz, there's this thing called a tritone substitution. So like if you wanted to go from E to C, right?
Okay.
That's one way. But if you want to do something spicy, you could actually, if you look at G, across from G is D flat. So you could actually go with the D flat instead of the G, and then go to the C.
Oh.
Like, yeah. So that's like a spicy, fun thing you can do.
So what you're wait, so then isn't that effectively, yeah, you're basically taking the long way home at that point. Because if you're on, you said you're on E, you start on E?
No, if you start, so going back, if you start on G, right?
Starting on G.
If you're going, okay, and you want to go to C, instead of start on G, you can actually use the opposite note, the D flat, as a substitution for the G. So that's kind of the other thing about this circle is the thing across from, like, so like when you're using the circle, you can go one way. What is it? You can go counterclockwise.
Okay.
But then like if you have, but you can also use the mirror of wherever you circle in half, and then use those notes as a substitute, like using the opposite. Yeah, using the opposite note.
Would that hold for chord progressions as well? Like if I'm starting out as C chord, could I then go to D flat and then to D?
So that's.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So other way you can think about this is, so this is the circle of fifths right now in a set of fifths. If you were to flip every other note, so like you C, then you switched E with its substitute, you kept D, then you switched A with its substitute, right? You'd get a circle instead of a circle of fifths.
You cut out you cut out briefly. You would get what kind of a circle? You'd
get a chromatic circle.
A chromatic circle.
Yeah, so like, you know how you would play it on the, you get a chromatic circle if you swap out, if you like swap out every other note with the note across from each across.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Okay. Wow. Wait a second. Okay. So what you're saying is like, we're going to start at noon here and we're going to go clockwise. So I would have C, right? Swap the G and we'd have D flat, and then we'd have D, swap the A, I'd have E flat, and then E. Oh, holy crap. How I've been looking at this for like 30 years and I've never seen that.
I mean,
yeah.
that's how you tighten the lug nuts on a car. Yeah.
You're not wrong. Yeah, that's true. Huh.
Yeah, so you can do that. That's like, so that's another way to find progressions on this thing. Yeah. And then like, so yeah, the progression, so like going downward chromatically is pretty similar to going upward in a fifth, or going downward in a fifth wise motion, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I think
So
I may have missed you there. So what's the same as going down in a fifth wise?
So if you're going from G to C,
yep.
Yeah, you can all, it's this, or sorry, if you're going from D flat to C, that's the same as going from G to C. I mean, like it, like functionally, it's the same. Like you have the same deal going on.
There's going to be a different feel to it, obviously, because they're different chords. But you can do it, and it will sound musical. Is that? Am I understanding that right?
I mean, it'll sound musical in the Western context. I mean, and a bit of the jazz context too.
Yeah.
Because tritone substitutions are used more in jazz. There are like special cases where it's used in Western classical. But yeah, so that's how you can use this circle of fifths. So that's how you can use this circle of fifths to find different progressions.
I definitely want to get into that with you on the post game. And by the way, the post game is going to be starting in about 10 minutes here. If you're on YouTube, you don't get one. But if you're watching on Twitch, we're going to have a whole nother hour of the post game here coming up shortly. Man, okay, yeah, because I want to ask you about that, like, because there's like Mixolydian and the one that starts with an L.
Lydian.
Thank you, Lydian. Yes, that's the guy. I want to ask you about all those that stuff as well. Like I said, though, we've got about 9 minutes left. Is there anything else that you wanted to make sure got in onto YouTube, and is there any other points? I want to make sure I give you the chance to like drive whatever point you need to drive home.
I mean, so I think it's very important, and I think it's very important to remember that this stuff, you don't need to learn this stuff to make your own music. Like if this is overwhelming, then don't use it, because honestly, this isn't like, no one's a better musician for using or not using this kind of stuff. This stuff's interesting and useful, but it's not the be all end all. And I'm saying that because if you were to go to music school, then they're gonna like talk about it like this is like the highest form of art. That yeah, and like I'm telling you, like it's kind of classist bull. Oh, sorry, I just added an hour to Pong's editing regimen. I should have said PS. Anyway,
it's fine.
But yeah, because like, yeah, it's like there's, and I also want to emphasize that, because I think Kendrick Lamar actually got was it a Pulitzer or something, or some kind of music award, and like there was a whole controversy about it.
Yeah, please.
And like, because it's the sentiment's still around, that like somehow classical music is a high form of music and all other music is lowbrow. But like I'm saying that whatever, Justin Bieber, Snoop Dogg, those guys are just as valid as musicians as Beethoven or Mozart. And I'm saying this because it's explicitly, because like that sentiment comes from an explicitly racist embodiment of, or an explicitly racist what is it, like thing that's been perpetuated in music schools. And it's not a good thing to actually believe that like this music theory is somehow proving like why this stuff is better when this is just one standard among many other kinds of standards, among many other kinds of music theories.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess in a way it's kind of like the people that had all the money decided that the thing that they like was the pure form of music, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And those happen to be at that period of time, they happen to look a lot more like me. So yeah.
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 Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And I guess I should also add, like, I'm not saying that Beethoven's bad
Right.
or that.
Hashtag cancel Beethoven.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it's just like Beethoven isn't any more of a genius than Kanye West. Well, yeah. Well, that was a good. Isn't any more? Yeah, that's not a good. Isn't any more of a genius than Jay-Z or
Sure.
whoever? Yeah. Sorry, that was a bad one.
You didn't pick a very good example.
Yeah, now Kanye West is gonna explode with joy or something.
With joy, with flavor. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't. Yeah.
But Diggable Planets. A lot of people like stopped at Rebirth of Slick. Are you familiar with Diggable Planets?
Biggable Planets.
Diggable. DIGA. Diggable.
Oh.
No.
I've not heard of it.
No.
Oh my, wow. Rebirth of Slick? Crux? You've never heard Rebirth of Slick? Cool like that?
I've never heard of that either.
Oh my god. All right. Well, I'll have to send that to you guys. But anyway, they did an album called Blowout Comb in '92. It's so good. It is my favorite hip hop album of all time. It is so good. But yeah, anyway, we got like 4 minutes left here. But yeah, definitely in the post game, I do want to get into like all those different scales, and I would like to expand. I would like to add some extra wrinkles to my brain as far as music styles, because I got to admit, when it comes to music,
Yeah.
I like my junk food. I really do. I like what's her name?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's no such thing as musical junk food. So,
but it's so tasty. You're just saying it's all music is what you're getting at.
Yeah, it's all music, and everyone can contribute to the music, and like that's something that's hopefully changing in the next few years. Is that I don't know. I that's what I'd like to see.
Actually, you know what? That is a thing I want to talk about too. We don't have enough time to fit that into the main show, but also in the post game, I want to talk about the tools that you use to make music. How do they affect the music that you make? Like,
sure.
Like, if you use a DAW, if you use a digital audio workstation, is that going to be different for you than if you use all entirely Eurorack and all that stuff? How like I want to get your thoughts on that. All right. So I guess we'll go ahead and end the main show there. Okay, so for the people on Twitch, you're in luck, because after we're going to take just a quick short break here, and then we're going to come back with MElemental, and we're going to talk about all the stuff I just laid out over the last 10 minutes. If you on the other hand, if you're on YouTube, I'm afraid this might be the end of the road for you, because in just a little bit you're going to see a little picture of me coming in from that way. Telling you about all the stuff that you missed. Hi, I'm the Mighty Pong, host of the show that you just got done watching. Hey, if you'd like to see the entire show and not just the first hour, make sure that you watch on twitch.tv/Synshop every Friday night for the main show, and on Monday nights we have our special project night. So you can join us, build something, and basically throw stuff at us while we try to concentrate on things. It's a lot of fun. Kind of. But hey, anyway, we hope to see you there. It's a lot of fun. So join us over there, twitch.tv/Synshop. I am, of course, the Mighty Pong, and we will see you there. One take. Not one take.